My name's Eric Martinson. I'm Director of Technology for PlaceWise Digital. We're a mall service provider based out of Denver, Colorado, and we do websites and various agency-related things for the shopping center industry. It was primarily on the network visibility and control side. I really wasn't sure of all of the traffic on my network, and I wasn't able to control it at a high enough level. Once I was able to do that, I had huge gains with performance and just visibility of how my changes affect the network. It's been a pretty massive impact. We've gone from having really unplanned downtime to really planning out all of our maintenance and essentially having no unplanned downtime except for network events and things truly outside of our control. When I was first looking, I was really looking for a very simple load balancing solution. The biggest items that I needed to have were pretty much data center agnostic solutions. So I needed to be able to port it from one data center to the other. I also needed to have some system-wide control so a local system could switch the routing based off of an agent. And there wasn't a lot out there that I could find that could do that well and at the time I needed cheaply. So the Community Edition fit perfectly for what I was trying to do initially. It wasn't very long before it became pretty much the centerpiece of our network. I used it for testing different rules. I used it for really the visibility on the network level to see what was hitting us. The ROI was pretty instantaneous in terms of that as soon as I got the basics in place, which didn't take long. The biggest metric I use is just uptime and performance. So when I look at the performance on our network, how are the requests getting handled? What is our system's recovery times? What happens when a request comes in? What's the time frame that comes out? It's pretty minimal in terms of what I look at, but it's really stark in terms of whether or not it's performing. I think one of the biggest examples of buying time for my team is just when I was able to modify the traffic so that I warmed up our backup servers so that they were ready to take on traffic without having to warm up the cache. That immediately solved our first problem, which was having a slow ramp up of backup servers. But what that bought us was the ability for our dev team to actually solve the underlying problem when it wasn't an emergency. They could look at the caches at various levels and re-architect them so that they worked better. That process took a few months and it wasn't an emergency, it was just iterative. The end result of that was game-changing for us because now we have a system that's resilient and I don't need the rules that I put in place to get it to that point. It was pretty immediate that we got value out of it because a lot of the things that I was implementing with the plugins like Antibot and the WAF, Web Application Firewall, were things that were on my roadmap that I was going to have to do internally. So they really limited my development time and sped my deployments out pretty astronomically in terms of time frame. So now, within a few days, I was doing Antibot testing, and I've seen enormous rewards from that in terms of the reduction of fake traffic on my network. The staff is incredibly supportive, so it's pretty easy to get any question answered, no matter how dumb. And when you're starting out, you kind of tend to ask dumb questions, and they're extremely helpful and patient, to be honest, which is pretty rare.